This is a special report coming to you from the Skills and Technology newsroom high atop the towering metropolis of New York City. The following information has... Oh my God, I can't really do this for real. Anyway, here you go, Lou. Take it away.
So here's a lesson that I've been thinking about since you inadvertently taught it to me as we were working on a different project. And it's about the creative process. And what I wanted you to share was the 4 things that you laid out that pretty much go in a row that bring something from nothing to actual fruition and live in the world. And their philosophy was number 1. Number 2 was concept. Number 3 was practical. And number 4 was execution. And where'd you come up with that, man?
I don't know. I don't even know where I came up with the word philosophy. So basically, you kind of, it's a natural order of the way I think.
Right.
It's the way I kind of conceptualize, because I'm thinking about, and I guess philosophically, is what is a story about? What am I looking to do with the story? Am I entertaining? Am I enlightening? Am I exposing? And to who am I enlightening, exposing? Is it what demographic is all that? So all of that kind of rolls around in my head for quite a while.
Right.
And then what I get to?
So that's your philosophy part, right? You
Correct.
kind of formulating it.
Yeah,
Then you jump to concept. By the way, this is all in the back of an envelope, but it's so important that I wanted you to talk about this and formalize it. So number 2 is concept.
And that
So
that envelope that you're looking at isn't something that got mailed to you. This was you scratching something down that I said?
Yes, exactly. Because it was brilliant. I had to get it.
Okay, good. Concept. Then it's okay. You have the idea of the story, or you have the idea of what you want to do, and you now have to bring it to a more structured version of what it is, which is storyline. Where does it start? Where does it end? What are the dynamics? But now it's the practical tell how the story gets structured and puts together. I usually do this in chunks, and
Right.
it's not necessarily start to finish.
Okay.
And again, these are tricks, not mine. A lot of writers, a lot of creatives do this. You just tag things on your wall or something. An idea pops in. Oh, you know what? This is a cool scene. Let me write this scene down. And you write it down and you put it up on your wall. And then you kind of look around like a jigsaw puzzle.
Right.
And you move pieces together that start working out. And what I've found is if you don't fight your creative forces or your brain or wherever all these energies come from,
Right.
it'll flow together somehow, some way. It'll all start making sense. And then all of a sudden, when that happens, it just becomes a flood. And what may have taken you a month and a half to get to, you can finish in 2 days.
So the creative process informs upon itself and just kind of makes the glue, right? That holds it all together and just takes you to the number 3, which is the practical part, right? Where you got to build it.
Right. And now the practical part is that. Now you actually have to build it. And just to step off this for a second, knowing that I'm also an engineer, that really isn't any different than any of the creative writer, what gets thrown into creative. I put engineering in with creative because everything we just talked about fits in a engineering world, whether it's a mechanical engineer, whether it's an electrical engineering design, whether it's a coding design, they all kind of fit in that thing. From designing an application, where it's going to go, da, 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 da. You get that picture.
Yeah,
So
totally.
then you get down to the practical. I got to build it.
Right.
What is it going to be? How do I build it? What do I put together? If it's an engineering thing, what pieces go together so that it works, so that it actually churns along? If it's coding, put all the code in place. And if it's a story, how do I actually do this? Where is
Right.
it? I got to light it. I got to get audio people involved. I got to shoot this. What are
Right.
the angles? How does this all come to fruition? And that's where you start depending upon your budget. That's where you
Right.
start bringing in other brilliance, and they start influencing what you're doing. If you're smart, you let them influence what you're doing. You don't
Yeah, sure.
dictate. I'm a big network community guy. Everybody contributes, and that really makes a great product, which is always why single awards for creativity bothers me, and it will continue to bother me, because nothing is a singular. Even boxing isn't a singular event. But anyway, I digress. What's the fourth?
The fourth is, now that you've got the practical done, the execution, number 4.
Right. And they kind of where we are and where we're going, or what I just said, to where we have to lead to, they dovetail together almost perfectly, because once you figure out what you have to do, then you actually have to do it.
Right. Right.
And that sometimes, and in that process, things get changed.
Yeah.
Because you know, something may not work the way it was. And then for me, that's always the part where the battles begin with all my creative brothers and sisters.
Right.
Because
Right.
no, that's not what I meant. Or no, why can't I do that? Or
Right.
or what did you say? Well, I thought you told me before you could, and now you're telling me you can't.
Right. Right.
So things or when I'm told at that point, and I think this is where our discussion laid prior, was when we get to this point, you
Yeah,
can't
you're
make
done.
wholesale changes.
Yeah, which I did to you.
You're done. No. Because if you were part of the process all the way along and you were buying in,
Right.
I don't allow you at this point to now make a huge shift.
Right.
The only way
Right.
I'll let that happen is if you're footing the bill.
Yeah.
If you're
Yep.
going to pay for a complete reboot and go back and start all over again and, you know, start from scratch, cool. I'm getting paid for what we did first, and we're
Yep.
going to get paid for what we did second. And
Yeah.
for those of you creatives out there who live this frustration, just remember your creativity is a unique commodity, and it's a valuable commodity. And if you're not getting paid for that, then don't do it. Because we all get caught in, we're creative, we want to do it, we do it for the passion, we do it to see our vision come to life. Great, but you can't pay the bills with that. And the people who are asking you to do that usually can't do what you do. So be polite about it, but stand your ground, make sure you get paid.
And with those words to the wise, there's always an exception. And I know that exception. And Joe, that exception is Jingles.
Nah, come on, that's not even fair. Jingles is an entity or a universe into itself.
It is, and it's been going on for years and years and years. And it's the most amazing thing in the world. I can't wait to tell you my experience with it. But more importantly, I can't wait to have Joe tell you what we're talking about. It's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
Jingles.
Well, just so you know, folks, it utilizes everything I've ever touched, brought together for a single wee hours in the morning production in a private residence that we've been doing since my son is 5. He's 29 now.
Yep.
And it is pretty insane, but a ton of fun. And Lou is correct. I mean, it is a passion of love and just pure excitement.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's hold that off. Let's do a whole podcast on that. What do you think?
Let's do it. And if we're lucky, maybe we'll get Joe to share some clips.
Never happened.
Ah, damn it.
Oh, Lou, come on now. But we'll give you a couple to go. But yeah, it's worth checking out. We'll do something. We'll make it interesting.
Forward to it, buddy. Looking forward to it, buddy. Looking forward.
All right. And as we always say, make sure if you have any questions, comments, corrections, or just an idea that you want us to touch on or do some research on, absolutely reach out to us. We're all about our community being anybody in the creative entertainment world, especially those of you on the front lines and those of you on your rising professionals on your way up. Give us a shout.
Thanks for listening to today's show. We've got some really exciting online courses coming up on ferrocity.com. See for yourself the exclusive details at ferrocity.com and make sure you get on board for early notification of class openings, enrollment opportunities, and founding member benefits. Details at ferrocity.com.